My beloved child, the fact that you pressed play on this video was not a random act, nor the result of fleeting curiosity or unconscious habit. This moment was arranged in advance, guided by a precision so subtle that only in hindsight will you fully recognize it. Among countless options, among so many things that could have pulled your attention elsewhere, you paused at exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. That tells me something important about you. There is already a spiritual sensitivity within you, a capacity to listen that even you may not yet fully be aware of. I called you quietly, and you responded, not with noise or grand declarations, but with a very small action that carries the weight of faith. When you did this with trust, even if that trust felt fragile or incomplete, you touched a deep principle of the spiritual realm. Faith does not need to be perfect in order to function. It only needs to be placed in the right position. And in the very moment you chose to believe that you are not here by accident, to believe that something greater is unfolding, heaven began to move, not with thunder or lightning, but with silent yet powerful shifts, like massive gears finally locking into place after a long period of stillness. Your choice created a clear boundary in the unseen world. It stripped accusations of their footing, the whispers that once tried to define you by your past, by your failures, by delays or missed timing, no longer carry the authority they once claimed, not because you argued with them, but because you stepped into a different position, the position of one who trusts. When you stand there, accusation naturally falls silent. For light does not debate with darkness, it simply exists. From that moment on, you are not merely listening to a message, you are opening a pathway. That path is being prepared so that what bears your name can move toward you without further delay. These are not vague dreams or empty hopes. They are things that have been inscribed, shaped, and prepared by a hand that is never hurried and never mistaken. An inheritance is moving in your direction, not something you must seize or manufacture by your own strength, but something that has been entrusted, signed, and confirmed long ago. This inheritance is not limited to material things, nor only to achievements others can see. It includes inner restoration, stability in identity, clarity of direction, and a new position. You will step into a place where you no longer need permission to be who you truly are. It is part of a plan written with full understanding of you, understanding what you have endured, the moments you nearly gave up, the evenings when your silence was so deep that even you could no longer hear your own heart. Because this inheritance is drawing near, resistance has also become more visible. This is not meant to frighten you, but to help you understand that what is happening is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of transition. The enemy does not waste energy on what carries no value. When he begins to stir unrest, sow distraction, and create troubles that seem small, yet repetitive, it is because he recognizes that the moment is approaching, and he does not want you to enter it with a clear mind and a steady trust. These schemes rarely appear in obvious forms. They arrive as sudden fatigue, as thoughts that make you doubt yourself, as an urge to delay, to return to old paths, or to prove something to someone who no longer has a role in your journey. If you are not alert, you may assume these are merely personal emotions or the pressures of life. But I want you to see the wider picture. This is an attempt to pull your focus off center, to slow your steps right at the threshold. Yet you are not left alone in this confrontation. The very fact that you are here, listening, shows that you have been equipped more than you realize. The light you are receiving is not only to comfort you, but to guide you. Each truth you receive becomes a firm anchor, helping you discern which voices deserve your attention and which sounds must be released. You do not need to fight by your own strength. You only need to remain in the truth. The truth itself will protect you. Beloved child, remember that the enemy can only create distraction. He cannot cancel what has already been appointed. He may generate noise, but he cannot rewrite your story. The inheritance that is coming does not depend on whether you feel strong every single day. It depends on the faithfulness of the one who made the promise. Your part is to keep walking in trust, even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. There are paths that are illuminated only one step at a time, not to test you, but to keep you in close relationship, where you learn to rely rather than to control. You will soon realize that the very things that once tried to slow you down have become evidence that you are on the right path. Each time you choose not to return to old fears, not to feed familiar doubts, you take another step into the land that has already been prepared for you. And when you arrive there, you will understand that every season of waiting, every moment that once seemed meaningless, has contributed to building a foundation strong enough for you to stand steady in what is greater. So do not let opposition confuse you. Let it remind you that you are very near. Keep your heart quiet, your mind alert, and your steps faithful. What bears your name is coming not loudly, not late, but right on time. And when it arrives, you will know this, not because you tried hard enough, but because you trusted deeply enough to remain in your place. Beloved child, have you noticed how the atmosphere around you seems to have shifted, not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet movement, subtle, yet clear enough for your heart to sense that something is no longer the same? People who once walked closely with you, who once spoke with warmth, who made you believe they would stay, now appear less and less. Conversations that once flowed naturally have grown awkward. Check-ins have become sporadic. At times, you extend genuine care, only to be met with a silence so long that you begin to wonder if you have done something wrong. And then there are those you once supported wholeheartedly with your time, your prayers, your kindness given without calculation, who now look at you with unfamiliar eyes, even with a coldness you hardly recognize. That hurts. It hurts not only because a connection is lost, but because your trust once lived there. I see this pain. I do not dismiss it. And I do not tell you, don't be sad, as if your sorrow were small. I know you were sincere. But listen to me. Listen from the deepest place within you. This distance is not merely a human story. It is a sign of a greater alignment unfolding in the spiritual realm. When I begin to lead you into a new season, a season of open doors, a season of lifting, a season of the inheritance that has been appointed, certain old connections will naturally no longer fit. Not because you have become worse, not because you are more arrogant, and not because you have lost value. On the contrary, it is because I am bringing you into greater alignment, greater truth, greater clarity. And that clarity exposes what does not belong to the light. When the light increases, blurred places become uncomfortable. When you are drawn closer to truth, those accustomed to living halfway will feel unsettled. Some stayed with you because you once existed in a form that was easy to predict. You were overly accommodating, patient far too long, silent to preserve peace. You became a shelter for their emotions. They borrowed your stability to avoid facing themselves. But now, as I heal you, as I rebuild boundaries within you, as I place a new steadiness into your life, you are no longer easily pulled off course. You no longer live to be accepted at the cost of your peace. And this confuses many. They can no longer manipulate you through emotion, no longer define you through your silence, no longer use you as a place to unload what they refuse to carry themselves. You may think this is merely a change in interaction, but in the unseen realm it is a shaking. For the inheritance I have placed upon you carries a weight that the flesh cannot understand. It disrupts souls that do not walk by faith. It exposes hidden motives, envy, comparison, a sense of threat, the fear of being left behind. Not because you are trying to display yourself or surpass anyone, but simply because my light upon your life has become so clear that those who live by ego can no longer pretend not to see it. Sometimes they do not hate you, they hate what your presence awakens in them, the realization that they have lingered too long, chosen ease too often, stood still when I invited them to walk, and instead of returning to me to be healed, they turn their coldness toward you. I want you to understand this. What I am unfolding is not small, and therefore it cannot remain unnoticed. When a great door is about to open, the wind ahead of a gentle rain will shift direction. When a season of breakthrough draws near, whatever does not belong to that season will begin to fall away. You will see more clearly who truly rejoices when you are lifted up, and who is only comfortable when you remain still in a lower place so they can feel secure. There are people who are at ease with you only when you are beneath them. They become unsettled when you step into the position I have prepared for you. And, my child, that unease can sometimes turn into sharp words, distant attitudes, or a quiet withdrawal. But I tell you this, do not use their reactions as the measure of your worth. Do not allow them to make you question my leading. Let me take you deeper. There are relationships that have completed their assignment. I do not always sever them through a dramatic event. Sometimes I allow distance to form naturally, so you do not have to carry guilt when you let go. You have been accustomed to holding on, holding people, holding connections, holding memories as though releasing them would make you heartless. But I am teaching you a new kind of maturity. Letting go is not betrayal. Letting go is obedience. Some people are meant to walk with you only for a season. And when you move into another season, they cannot continue with you. That does not make them bad. And it does not make you wrong. It simply reveals that your journey is being realigned to fit what I have entrusted to you. In this phase, the enemy delights in whispering a familiar phrase into your ear. It must be my fault. It wants you to blame yourself, to overanalyze, to fall back into the old cycle of searching for fault within yourself, to explain someone else's coldness. But I want you to stand still in the truth. You are not being rejected. You are being set apart. You are not losing. You are being repositioned. You are not forgotten. You are being protected from connections that would weaken you as you step into something greater. Scripture carries a very clear principle that you need to hold in your heart right now. 2 Corinthians 6:1-7 says, "Therefore come out from among them and be separate, and do not touch what is unclean." This word is not given to make you proud or contemptuous of others, but to help you understand that there are times when I must do the work of separation, so you are no longer mixed with what would cloud your vision. When I set you apart, I am preserving the purity of your motives, the clarity of your direction, and the stability of your identity. If you insist on dragging along those who no longer belong to the journey, you will step into a new season wearing the garments of the old, and they will weigh you down. My beloved, I also want you to see this when familiar faces move away. I am making room for new ones, not so you replace anyone in a cold or careless way, but so you can be accompanied by hearts that understand the rhythm of heaven. These people will not compete with you, will not measure you by the flesh, will not feel threatened when you are lifted up. They will rejoice with a clean joy, because they know my blessing is not a loaf that must be divided. My blessing is a river that grows fuller as it flows. They will not require you to make yourself smaller so they can feel comfortable. They will see you at the very scale at which I created you. But while I am rearranging the network around you, what I need most from you is peace and alertness. Do not chase after explanations. Do not cling with unnecessary apologies. Do not bend yourself to ease someone else's discomfort. You are not tasked with making everyone comfortable with your obedience. Your only assignment is to walk with me. And if you need to weep, then weep in my arms, not as one without hope, but as one being healed. I do not despise your pain. I will use it to make you softer without making you weaker, deeper without making you heavier, gentler without making you easy to topple. Remember, this breakthrough is not only about doors opening on the outside, it is also about realignment on the inside. If you step into inheritance while your heart is still dependent on the approval of those who do not understand you, you will always be pulled backward by an invisible cord. So I am cutting that cord not to leave you lonely, but to make you free. Free to love without dependence. Free to give without being controlled. Free to stand upright in the identity I have established. And when you stand in that freedom, you will begin to notice something unexpected. Your peace will increase. Even if the number of people around you decreases, you will be surprised at how easily you breathe. You will realize you no longer have to guess what others are thinking in order to live. You will see that you no longer need to explain your path to those who were never called to understand it. This is the season in which I am teaching you to walk without an audience, needing only my presence. My beloved, if your heart aches today because of someone's coldness, place that ache into my hands and speak honestly with me. Then, take the next step forward. Let me do the work of separation. Let me do the work of reconnection. And trust that what is unfolding, though painful, is not a sign that I have left you, but a sign that I am drawing you closer to what I have promised. My beloved child, there are victories that do not arrive with the cheers of a crowd, but come in the deep, profound silence of the soul. There are advances that are not marked by applause, but by the sudden empty spaces where familiar relationships once stood. I want you to understand something very important. Not every loss is a failure, and not every separation is a sign of having gone astray. In my journey with you, there are victories that must be paid for by letting go of certain people, not because you have loved less, but because you are being led into a new depth where not everyone can walk alongside you. There are promises that carry such great light that they create boundaries by their very nature. When I speak a word over your life, it does not only bring forth blessing, it also exposes what is no longer meant to remain. Separation is not the goal, it is the natural consequence of sanctification. As you are drawn closer to what I have ordained, you will realize that the space around you must be purified, not by judgment, but by truth. The blessing I bring cannot grow in an atmosphere filled with mixed motives, where affection is entangled with self-interest, where closeness is governed by calculation. What I have prepared for you carries a very specific purity. It requires connections that can stand firm when there is no longer any benefit to extract, when you are no longer a source of emotion, status, or security for others. Some people drew near to you not because they loved the life I placed within you, but because they saw what they could take from it. When you were in a hidden season, they smiled easily. But now, as the honor I give begins to draw near to your life, when the light is no longer dim, they become unsettled. And because they do not dare to face the truth in their own hearts, they choose distance. Contempt is no longer expressed through words, it hides behind silence, coldness, and prolonged busyness. Do not mistake this for social failure or emotional isolation. This is spiritual. This is a sign that you are crossing a threshold that not everyone is willing to cross. When I prepare to lift you up, I do not work only on circumstances, I also work on the environment around you. I remove connections that would weigh you down when it is time for you to rise. I cut away invisible cords that once kept you bound to people-pleasing and to dependence on the approval of others. If I did not do this first, you would enter blessing with a heart pulled in many directions, and that is not what I desire for you. Scripture speaks clearly about this principle, though many read it without living into its depth. Psalm 2:3-5 says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." The table is not prepared in the absence of opposition, but right before their eyes. What does this mean? It means that the honor I give does not require the approval of those who once despised you. It means I do not wait for them to change their attitude before I lift you up. I lift you up at the right time, in the right way, and that elevation itself will reveal every heart. You need to understand this when the table is prepared. Not everyone is invited to sit. Some are only meant to stand and watch. Some once assumed they would always have access to you, but they do not have permission to enter a new season if they do not carry the same pure motive. I am not punishing them. I am preserving the holiness of what I am doing. For blessing is not a display item, it is a living space. And that space must be protected. In this season, you may feel a very particular kind of sorrow, not grief over losing people, but grief over losing an old version of yourself. The version that tried to hold every relationship at any cost. I am teaching you something deeper. Faithfulness to the promise I have given matters more than keeping everyone close. Jeremiah 1:5-19 says, "If you return, I will restore you, separate the precious from the worthless." Not everything you once cherished is meant to be carried forward. Some things were precious in one season, but become burdens in another. I know you may ask yourself, am I becoming distant, cold, or arrogant? I speak to you gently, but clearly you are not becoming distant. You are becoming clear. You are not becoming cold. You are learning not to offer your heart to places that can no longer sustain life. You are not becoming arrogant. You are standing exactly where I have called you to stand. Spiritual maturity is not about keeping everyone satisfied. It is about keeping your heart upright before me. Look at those I have used before you. Abraham had to leave his father's house. Joseph was separated from his brothers. David had to leave the palace and enter the wilderness. Every separation was painful, but every separation opened the door to deeper preparation. No one enters the promise without passing through refinement. No one carries the anointing without learning how to be alone with me. And you are no exception, not because you are weak, but because I trust you enough to entrust you with something great. My beloved child, when you begin to sense distance from those who were once very close, do not rush to fill that emptiness with explanations or self-defense. Let me be present in that space. I am using the very silence you feel to speak things to you that a crowd could never teach. I am building within you a new inner strength, one that does not rest on approval, but on identity. And when identity is firmly set, blessing is no longer something you must guard with anxiety. It becomes something that flows through you naturally. Trust me when I say this. This is evidence that you are drawing near to the table. Not a table of revenge, but a table of restoration, of honor returned, of position established. You do not need to turn back to prove anything to those who chose to stand at a distance. You only need to keep moving forward gently, yet firmly. For what I have prepared does not require their agreement. It requires only your obedience. And when you step into it, you will understand. You will see that the relationships that fell away created space for peace to remain. You will recognize that this refining did not take love from you, but made that love purer, freer, and rightly placed. You will look back and say, if I had not let go then, I would not have been light enough to step into this. My beloved child, before this month comes to a close, I want you to know that something very real is drawing near, not as a promise suspended in the air, but as a gift placed gently into your hands at the right time. That gift takes the form of healing, not loud, not showy, but deep enough to reach places you have carried for far too long. There are fatigues you have grown so accustomed to that you began to think they were normal. There are financial pressures you have shouldered quietly, telling yourself you must just try a little harder. I see it all, and I do not intend for you to step into the next stretch of your journey with shoulders still bowed under the weight of the last one. The healing I give does not stop at the symptoms. It goes to the root. It touches your body where pain once returned again and again like a weary reminder. It touches your mind where worry quietly eroded your peace. It touches the numbers that kept you awake at night, the expenses, the responsibilities you carry, and places a new order there. This order does not arrive as a miracle detached from daily life, but as grace seeping into each decision, each step, each connection you thought had become too tangled to sort. As Psalm 1473 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. These words are not merely to be read, they are being lived out in your life. Be ready for the breaking of the yoke. A yoke is not only a visible burden, it is also the old belief that you must carry everything alone, that you are not allowed to be weak, that you must manage at any cost. I am lifting from your shoulders what no longer belongs to you, responsibilities I did not assign, anxieties I did not place there. As Matthew 1130 declares, For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. When the yoke is broken, you will be surprised by how much deeper your breath becomes, how much more restful your nights are, how your heart no longer feels taut like a drawn string before every decision. This lightness does not come from escaping reality, but from entering reality with me. Grace will lead you through challenges not by removing you from life, but by positioning you rightly within it. Grace teaches you to choose what is necessary, release what is excess, and discern what belongs to me and where you are invited to cooperate. When you walk in grace, you are neither rushed nor delayed. You move with a precise rhythm, and that very rhythm opens the way for complete renewal, not in one area only, but in your whole being. As 2 Corinthians 5:17 reminds us, If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. Renewal is not a fresh coat of paint over the old. Renewal is a new foundation. I want you to prepare to experience a steady flow, not intermittent, not broken of love, provision, and vibrant health. This flow does not promise the absence of trials. It promises that trials will no longer leave you dry. My love will anchor you when emotions waver. My provision will arrive on time, in ways that teach you trust rather than panic. My health will restore you gradually from your morning energy to your endurance through the day, so that you do not merely get by, but live with genuine joy. As Psalm 2:3-1 declares, The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When I shepherd you, abundance does not need to shout. It quietly walks with you all the way. Open your heart, my beloved child. Opening your heart does not mean dropping your defenses before everyone. Opening your heart means opening it before me. Do not shut the door because of past disappointments. Do not shrink back for fear of hoping once again. My hope does not put you to shame, because it stands on truth, not on fleeting emotions. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:3-1. When you wait upon me, I renew your strength. Renew your vision. Renew the way you see yourself. You are not the sum of what you have endured. You are what I am bringing forth. You may ask, how will I know when that gift has arrived? I tell you this, you will know by the spreading calm. Decisions that once filled you with anxiety will become clear. Pains that once lingered will begin to soften in a steady rhythm. Numbers that once tightened your chest will be rearranged by opportunities arriving at the right time. I do not promise that everything will change overnight. I promise that the change will endure. And endurance is my signature. Let this word light the path before you. Light does not force you to run, it simply helps you see. When you see, you walk with greater confidence. When you see, you no longer stumble into old fears. When you see, you know when to move forward and when to wait. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. The light I give does not blind you, it steadies you. And when you are steady, joy is no longer fragile, it becomes a foundation. The joy I desire to place in your life is not joy dependent on circumstances. It is the joy of knowing you are held, guided, and provided for. It is the joy that comes from no longer having to prove your worth each day. It is the joy that arises when you look back and realize that what once weighed you down no longer holds the same power. The kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. Romans 1:4-17. When you dwell in that kingdom, joy is not loud but deep, not fleeting but lasting. My beloved, prepare your heart with trust. Trust is not closing your eyes to reality. Trust is opening your eyes to reality together with me. When you do, you will see doors opening at the right time, the right people appearing, and resources being released in ways you did not anticipate. I do not only give gifts, I teach you how to keep them by gratitude, by gentle discipline, by a balanced rhythm of life. The gift of healing does not come to lead you back to old paths, it comes to lead you into a new one. Remain in me as this month passes. Do not rush to conclusions. Observe with a grateful heart. Every small sign of restoration is a confirmation. Every moment of peace is another stone laid in the foundation. And when you look back, you will say, I have made all things full, not because you were more deserving than others, but because you opened your heart at the right time. I am here guiding, healing, and renewing so that your days do not merely pass by, but bloom into enduring joy. My beloved son, my beloved daughter, listen with your whole heart, for what I am about to say is not only to comfort you, but to set you firmly upon the truth. The inheritance I am leading you into has never been confined to numbers or to things you can hold in your hands. If you see it only as money or possessions, you will miss the depth of what I am doing. This inheritance takes the form of honor restored, dignity renewed, and the fragments within you being gently yet firmly mended. It is a new season marked not by the calendar of men, but by my own hand, the hand that led you through unseen paths, the hand that held you steady when you thought you were about to fall. The honor I give does not come from the praise of the crowd. It comes from a deep assurance that you are standing in the right place. There were years when you lived well yet were not recognized, did right yet were misunderstood, remained faithful yet were forgotten. I did not allow those things to pass without meaning. I gathered every tear, every quiet effort, every time you chose what was right when what was easy beckoned. And then, in the appointed season, I restore honor not by making you proud, but by giving you peace. God gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. When grace comes, it lifts you without burdening your heart. The restoration I bring is not merely surface repair. It reaches into the deepest places where you once doubted your own worth, where old wounds shaped the way you viewed the world. I am healing you from the inside out, so that when you step into the new season, you do not carry old fear-driven reflexes with you. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Psalm 2:3-3. To restore the soul is to realign direction, to help you walk without drifting off course. When the soul is restored, you do not need to prove yourself. You simply need to be present, because this inheritance carries such depth. The enemy does not first target your circumstances, he targets your faith. He whispers familiar lines, nothing has really changed. You are only comforting yourself. You are alone now. He paints a picture of you being forgotten, as though silent days were proof that I have turned away. But I say to you right now, with unshakable certainty, you have never been forgotten. Not for a single second. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Isaiah 49:16. When I engrave, I do not erase. When I hold, no one can snatch you away. You are hidden not to be abandoned, but to be protected. There are things that, if revealed too early, would be distorted, envied, or sabotaged. So I hide you in me, like a seed buried in dark soil, waiting for the day it breaks forth. Time in the darkness is not wasted time. It is the season when roots grow. For your life is hidden with Christ in God. Colossians 3:3. When life is hidden, it is kept safe from eyes that do not yet understand its worth. I have also set you apart not to isolate you, but to refine you. To be set apart means to be placed aside for a specific purpose. Not everyone is invited to walk where I am leading you, because not everyone is ready to witness blessing without wanting to seize it, to observe elevation without comparison, to stand near the light without trying to dim it. There are those who love you when you are in a low place, but feel unsettled when you are lifted higher. This does not make them evil. It simply reveals that they were not built for this season of your life. Not everyone has a spiritual structure strong enough to journey with you to this place. That structure is formed by humility, by the ability to rejoice in another's blessing, by a heart not poisoned by jealousy. Where these are lacking, closeness becomes dangerous not for you, but for them. So I create distance. I do not do this with a hammer, but with truth. That distance is grace in disguise, protecting you from connections that would slow you when it is time to move forward. Remember this: Joseph had to be separated from his brothers in order to become their deliverer. David had to dwell in caves before stepping into the throne. Esther had to keep her identity hidden before speaking at the appointed moment. Every elevation includes a season of concealment. My time has not yet come is not a rejection, it is protection. And when the time arrives, no force can stop it. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you peace and not disaster, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 2:9-11. My beloved child, if today your faith feels tested, know this: testing is not a sign of loss, but a sign of value. Gold is tested in fire because it is precious. Faith is tested because it carries weight. Though tested by fire, your faith of greater worth than gold may be proved genuine. 1 Peter 1:7. I do not test you to weaken you. I test you to make you resilient. And when you are resilient, you can stand in what is great without being consumed by it. Do not believe the voice that says you are alone. You are not alone. You are being focused. Do not believe the image that you are forgotten. You are being reserved for the right moment. Do not fear when the path narrows. Narrow does not mean wrong. Sometimes narrow is the only way through the gate. Enter through the narrow gate. Matthew 7:1-3. The narrow gate strips away excess baggage, so you may enter light and free. I am here. I have not left you for a single step. When you do not see me, I am working. When you do not hear me, I am laying foundations. When you are weary, I carry you. And when you stand firm, I set before you what I have promised. This inheritance is yours not because you are perfect, but because you are loved. Hold on to your faith. Remain in me. The new season has been marked, and you are drawing very near. My beloved child, there are pains that do not come from distant enemies, but from those you love most. Pain you cannot name. Pain you cannot confront. Pain you cannot accuse and cannot ignore. There are prayers whispered behind closed doors, wrapped in concern yet moving against you. There are embraces warm enough to deceive outsiders, yet cold enough for you to feel the withdrawal within. Even within family, the place you hoped would be safest, you feel the heaviest weight when the promise is mentioned. You sense the atmosphere shift. You feel the room grow tight. You notice eyes that avoid, smiles that never reach the heart. You are not imagining this. You are not overly sensitive. What you are sensing is real. Your spirit has been unsettled, and I have not overlooked it. I see the trembling within you not because you are weak, but because you are standing at the intersection of two worlds, the old world, where people are accustomed to you in a lower place, and the new world where the promise is beginning to take shape. This unrest is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a signal that you are crossing an invisible boundary that many are not ready to cross with you. You feel it in the air, in conversations cut short, in silences that linger longer than before. I know every tightening of your heart when you realize you are no longer expected in certain places the way you once were. I have counted every tear you have shed in silence. Not one has fallen to the ground in vain. There were nights when you turned your face to the wall so no one would hear your sighs. There were mornings when you adjusted your expression and stepped out as if everything were fine. You prayed to me not for revenge, but asking me to remove the evil lingering around you, to cleanse the unseen atmosphere pressing down on your spirit. I heard every whisper. I even heard the sentences you could not bring yourself to say aloud, that you are tired, that you no longer have the strength to keep fighting, that all you want is peace. My beloved child, I do not blame you for being tired. I do not reproach you for being weak. I am not disappointed by the moments when you want to stop. I am the God who sees you when no one else does, who understands you when no one else can. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 3:4-1-8. I am near you in those hours, not as a spectator, but as a companion. I was there when you thought you were completely alone. But today, I have not come only to comfort you. Today, I lift you up with authority, not with fleeting emotion, but with affirmation from heaven. I place you back into your rightful position, no longer bowed down, no longer stepping back, no longer questioning whether you have the right to continue. You have the right. You are called. You are chosen. And no opposing prayer can nullify what I have spoken. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 5:4-1-7. That word is not given to make you fearful, but to help you stand upright. Do not go back again. Do not return to the arguments that drained your strength. Do not go back to ask permission to live according to what I have placed in your heart. Do not go back to prove that you are right. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to move forward. There are doors that open only when you stop looking behind you. There are blessings that come only when you stop explaining. I did not call you to fight endlessly. I called you to enter the rest of one who knows where they belong. The inheritance belongs to you. This is not a vague promise, but a reality in motion. It has left the throne not impulsively, but because the timing is complete. It is on its way to your address, an address that is not merely where you live, but the position where you have stood firm in faith. For all the promises of God find their yes in Christ. 2 Corinthians 1:2-0. When I say yes, I do not withdraw it. When I give, I do not regret it. You may notice the tension increasing just before it arrives. Do not be surprised. Just before the sun rises, the darkness is often at its deepest. Just before a door opens, the noise is often at its loudest. This does not mean you are about to lose everything. It means you are very close. Keep your heart quiet. Keep your steps steady. Guard your ears from voices that make you doubt yourself. I am working beyond what you can see. My beloved child, I also want you to understand that not all opposition comes from deliberate malice. Some people pray against you because they are afraid. They fear your change. They fear their own position being shaken. They fear having to face what I am doing in you, which they have refused for themselves. I do not call you to judge them. I call you to be free from them. That freedom does not carry the scent of bitterness. It carries the fragrance of peace. When you are free, you do not need them to understand. You only need me to know. I am preparing the way before you. I am smoothing out the rough places you cannot see. I am placing new people right in timing, right in heart along your journey. These people will not shrink when you speak of the promise. They will rejoice. They will not pray against you. They will stand with you. They will not look at you with suspicion. They will look at you with respect. This is not accidental replacement. This is intentional alignment. Let your heart rest. Let your shoulders be light. Let me carry what you no longer have the strength to bear. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Psalm 5:5-2-2. Casting is a decisive act. Once you have cast it, do not take it back through anxiety. Once you have moved forward, do not turn your head through fear. I do not lead you halfway and then abandon you. My beloved child, the day you stand upright again without trembling, without asking permission, without self-doubt, is the day the atmosphere around you changes. You will feel a new lightness. You will see doors open naturally. You will realize that opposing prayers can no longer reach you, not because you are stronger than others, but because you are standing in the right place. When you stand in the right place, I cover you with my own presence, my beloved child. I know you have walked through fire in a way few could ever understand, not the kind of fire people retell as a heroic story to receive praise, but the kind that burns deep within, where you had to learn how to stand when no one stood beside you. You were humiliated, and you chose silence, not because you were weak, but because you refused to trade the purity of your heart for the hollow victory of winning an argument. You were slandered, yet you did not chase explanations. You did not cling to approval. You did not try to fix your image in the eyes of others. You placed your honor in my hands, trusting that true justice does not need noise to speak. I saw the moments when you swallowed your tears, the moments when you had to breathe deeply so you would not respond. I saw even the times you trembled in silence, yet still chose to remain in covenant. And I say to you, I have forgotten nothing. Now is the time to receive the reward. But listen to me carefully. For right as you stand at the edge of breakthrough, just before what I have promised becomes so clear that no one can deny it, the enemy will intensify his old tactics. He cannot stop what I am doing, but he can try to slow you down, try to make you loosen your own safety lines, try to push you out of the rhythm of grace. He does not need to destroy your future. He only needs to make you tired, make you doubt, make you turn back just before you lay your hands on what I have prepared. And he often does this by using what feels familiar: voices you once trusted, stories you once believed, fears you once carried. You will sense him brushing against your mind like a cold draft. He will try to confuse you with questions repeated over and over. What if nothing changes? What if you hoped for too much? What if this time is just another loop? He will scatter confusion within you like fine dust, not thick enough for you to notice immediately, but enough to blur your vision. And when your vision is blurred, you will begin to interpret everything in a negative direction. A small delay becomes proof of failure. A moment of silence becomes a sign of abandonment. A minor obstacle becomes an omen that everything is about to collapse. This is how he manipulates, not through truth, but through exaggeration. He will also stir fear, not dramatic fear, but subtle fear, the fear of losing control, the fear of being disappointed once again, the fear that you may not be strong enough to hold on to goodness when it finally comes. He will bring back old seasons, the season when you tried but were not answered, the season when you were misunderstood, the season when something you believed was yours was taken away. He will touch old wounds and buried memories and call them evidence that you should not hope. But I say to you, memory has no authority to measure promise. The past does not have permission to rewrite the future. Old wounds are only places where I once healed you. They are not chains meant to pull you backward. At times, he will even use familiar people to unsettle you. Casual comments, half-joking remarks, glances that make you wonder whether you are overreacting. He will try to make you feel alone by convincing you that no one understands you, no one stands with you, and that I, too, am silent. But my beloved, I am not silent. I am working in the depths, and sometimes my silence is a wall of protection, shielding you from noise so you are not pulled off course by emotion. Remember this, he will try to push you just one step away from covenant, not a dramatic fall, but a small step into compromise, a small step into bitterness, a small step into self-pity, a small step into impulsive action to save yourself. He wants you to act from fear rather than from trust. He wants you to leave the place of peace and enter a zone of agitation where you will exhaust yourself. But I say to you, do not accept it. Do not nurture it. Do not allow those voices to remain in your heart like a seed. For whatever seed is fed will produce its own season. Instead, do something very simple, yet deeply powerful. Listen to my voice. My voice does not pull you into panic. My voice brings you back to center. My voice does not demand that you prove yourself. My voice reminds you where you belong. My voice does not sow doubt. My voice brings clarity. And you will recognize my voice by this sign: it carries peace, even when circumstances have not yet changed. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. If you hear a voice that steals your peace, rushes you, provokes reaction, or drives you into defensiveness, that is not my voice. My beloved, you are an heir, but you do not inherit because you are perfect, nor because you have met a standard through your own effort. You inherit by grace, grace that held you together on days when you thought you could not hold on. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ. Romans 8:1-7. You are called an heir not so that you become proud, but so that you may be at rest. What belongs to you cannot be stolen by the noise of the enemy. And I want you to remember this, because it is something I cherish deeply about you in pain. You did not offend me in shame. You did not rebel against me. Some people, when wounded, turn away, grow bitter, and speak words that darken their own souls. But you chose differently. You kept a point of light within your heart even when you were tired, even when you did not understand, even when you cried in silence. You passed through fire without allowing the fire to turn you into someone darker. That is a victory deeper than any outward triumph. So now, as the reward draws near, I am also protecting you from this very moment, the moment just before full release. This is when many are deceived by impatience, by the urge to finish quickly, by the feeling that they must do something to be sure. But you do not need to manufacture an outcome. You only need to stand in the right place. You have been taught how to remain. You have been trained not to leave covenant when emotions shift. Use that very skill. Now remain. If old memories rise, give them to me, not so you sink back into them, but so I may remind you that they no longer hold power. If fear approaches, look it in the face and say, I do not accept you. If familiar voices try to confuse you, return to the promise I placed within you. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. Power here is not shouting. Power is steadiness. Love here is not weakness. Love is refusing to be governed by fear. Self-control here is not suppression. Self-control is the ability not to react from old instincts. My beloved child, I am drawing nearer to you than you realize. And what I am about to do will not be merely a good moment, it will be a turning point. But you must keep your heart clean from the voice of the enemy. Do not nurture doubt. Do not cradle fear as if it were a child that needs comforting. Do not return to old paths. Keep walking forward in quiet trust, just as you have walked through the fire. For it is in that very quietness that I place your authority. My beloved child, I know you have stood at very real crossroads, where just one step backward would have been enough for everything to end in an easier way. But you did not choose the easy path. You chose to trust while your heart was still trembling. You knelt in moments when reason told you to stand up and walk away. You lifted your hands in prayer when instinct wanted to shrink back to protect yourself. You chose to bless those who wounded you, even when you had every reason to speak words of bitterness. I saw every one of those choices. No choice was considered small. No decision was overlooked by me, for it was in those moments that you revealed your true identity. You did not choose trust because you were certain everything would be fine. You chose trust because you knew that I am trustworthy. You did not kneel because you were weak, but because you understood that there are battles no human strength can win. You did not lift your hands to be seen, but to acknowledge that you needed me more than anything else. You did not bless because you were pretending to be noble, but because you refused to let another person's darkness define the light within you. These were not natural reflexes. They were the fruit of a heart refined by fire. And because of this, I have signed a decree bearing your name, not an impulsive decision, not an emotional reward. It is a decree formed in justice, sealed with grace, and issued by my authority. Heaven has acknowledged it. Your name was not discovered today. It has long been watching the path you have walked. Angels are carrying out what has been spoken without delay, without confusion, without being hindered by what is unfolding on the earth. Invisible movements are taking place in rhythm with every beat of your heart, even though you have not yet seen the visible outcome. But, my beloved child, you must also understand this very real truth. Treasure never remains unnoticed. Where something is precious, eyes will be drawn to it. Favor does not arrive in absolute silence. It stirs hearts. When I place favor upon your life, it does not only lift you up, it also exposes what has been hidden in others. Breakthrough does not merely open doors for you, it also shakes dark places that have grown comfortable in false stability. Hell is not afraid of the loud, it fears those who are quiet yet obedient, those who have learned to stand firm without needing to prove themselves. Therefore, I tell you, be alert, not alert in fear, but alert in wisdom. Do not let excitement cause you to neglect guarding your heart. What I am birthing within you is still as tender as a newly sprouted seed. It does not need applause, it needs good soil. It does not need discussion, it needs covering. Not everyone has the capacity to carry what I am placing in you. Some will distort it with words. Some will weigh it down with expectations. Some will contaminate it with impure motives. You are not obligated to share everything with everyone. Discretion is not a lack of trust, it is a form of wisdom. There are things that should only be spoken in the secret place, where there are no comparing eyes, no curious ears, no distorted interpretations. I am teaching you how to carry a spiritual pregnancy, knowing when to remain silent, when to protect, when to wait. Not every heart structure is strong enough to stand near a great promise without becoming unsettled. Some will love you, yet not be able to love what I am doing in you. Some will rejoice for you, but only to a certain extent. I do not blame them. I protect you. Pray in quietness. Prayers do not need to be heard by many to carry power. Some prayers only need to be heard by me. In that quietness, you will sense my gentle guidance, not forceful, not pressuring, yet unmistakably clear. I will whisper to you when to move forward and when to pause, when to open your heart and when to close it, when to speak and when to remain silent. When you learn to hear me in stillness, You will not be pulled by the noise outside. Give thanks in secret. Gratitude does not need a stage. When you give thanks quietly, you are laying a solid foundation for what is greater. Hidden gratitude keeps your soul soft, neither proud when good things arrive, nor bitter when trials continue. I see the words of thanks you whisper when nothing seems to have visibly changed yet. It is those very words that expand the capacity of your heart, so you can hold more without overflowing. My beloved child, the decree has been signed not so that you would anxiously cling to it, but so that you may walk in the rest of one who knows that all things have already been determined. Your part is not to guard the promise with excessive vigilance, but to keep your heart clean, tender, and awake. When you live this way, what belongs to you will come to you at the right time, in the right way, without your having to chase after it. Remember this, you did not arrive here by luck. You came here through quiet choices, unseen sacrifices, and moments when you chose me instead of choosing your natural reaction. Because of that, what I am doing will not be overturned by jealousy, delayed by words, or destroyed by darkness. Continue to walk gently yet firmly. Keep the light within you from being diluted. Let me do my part, my beloved child. Not every blessing can be received with simple excitement. There are blessings that require deep wisdom from you, a heart calm enough to discern what should be kept and what must be released. True blessing does not merely add to your life, it rearranges your life. As I prepare to expand your boundaries, I must also adjust what is within you and around you, so that you do not step into a new season carrying the burdens of an old one. This is not punishment. This is grace in its most refined form. I am raising up the right people, those whose heartbeats are aligned with the rhythm of heaven, to walk with you in the journey ahead. They do not come to take space, to exploit you, or to blur your identity. They come to stand beside you, to encourage you, to rejoice with you when blessing arrives, and to stand firm with you when trials appear. At the same time, I am gently but decisively removing those who do not belong to this journey, not because they are bad, but because they are no longer aligned, not because you are wrong, but because the direction has changed. This removal does not happen as smoothly as you might hope. It hurts. It touches memories, attachments, and old promises you once believed would last. It unsettles your soul, because you are someone who values relationships, someone who does not let go easily. In the night, you will ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did they change? Why does someone who was once close now feel so distant? Those questions are real, and that pain is real. I do not dismiss them. I know you are not just losing a person, you are losing a familiar sense of safety. You will notice their tone change, no longer warm, no longer empathetic. Words that were once constructive become critical. Small misunderstandings are magnified. Groundless accusations appear as if you became a different person overnight. You will be surprised by the speed of the change, because you have not yet understood what is happening. But, my beloved child, this change does not originate from you. It originates from the fact that I am leading you farther than they are willing to go. Do not chase what I am pruning. Do not run after it to explain, to convince, or to hold on to what my hand has already touched, to cut away. When you chase, you not only exhaust yourself, you also interfere with my work of protection. There are connections that, if kept, would become points of energy leakage, causing you to enter blessing with a fractured heart. I do not want you to receive blessing while still bandaging wounds created by your own clinging. You must understand this pruning is an act of love. Just as a gardener cuts away branches that no longer bear fruit so the tree can channel its life into a new season, I am doing the same in your life. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 1:5-2. Pruning is not meaningless loss. It is preparation for increase. If I did not prune, you would not have enough space to carry what I am about to give you. Spiritual purification often does not come through dramatic events, but through changes in relationships. I do not always close doors with a loud slam. Sometimes I allow distance to form naturally. You will find that you no longer speak the same language. You will realize that what once excited you is no longer shared. You will notice yourself becoming quieter, not because you are shrinking back, but because you are growing, and that growth makes old connections feel too tight. In this process, the enemy will try to exploit your pain by planting a familiar lie that you are being abandoned. But I tell you this, you are not being abandoned, you are being protected. Protection does not always come in pleasant forms. Sometimes it resembles surgery, necessary, precise, and painful for a moment. Yet if you trust me, you will see that this pain has limits. While the blessing ahead is lasting, let me do the work of selection. You do not need to sort people yourself. You do not need to act as judge or defender. When you remain quiet and abide in me, truth will reveal itself. Those who belong on your journey will find ways to stay. Even if you do not cling, those who do not belong will leave, even if you try to hold them. And when they leave, I want you to remember this: it is not the failure of love, but the victory of wisdom. The wisdom required to receive blessing is not found in opening your arms to everyone, but in knowing who can stand close when blessing arrives. Not everyone can endure light. Not everyone rejoices when you are lifted up. Some people are only comfortable with you when you are in a lower place, where they feel secure. When you step into the place that is rightfully yours, their insecurity rises, and they choose distance instead of honesty. I do not allow them to stay, so that you will not begin to doubt yourself. My beloved child, allow yourself to feel sorrow, but do not let sorrow lead you back. Allow yourself to grieve, but do not let regret cause you to miss what is new. Let the tears fall, but let them fall in my arms, not on the road that turns backward. For every tear you shed in obedience becomes a seed for the peace that is coming. I am forming a new circle around you, smaller, yet truer, quieter, yet more steadfast. Within that circle, you will not need to over-explain yourself. You will not need to stay on guard. You will be free to be who you are without fear of being misunderstood. And in that space, blessing will not be drained by conflict, will not leak through envy, and will not be distorted by impure motives. Trust that what I prune today will explain itself tomorrow. There will come a time when you look back and say, if they had stayed, perhaps I would not have gone this far. In that moment, you will no longer carry resentment, you will carry gratitude. Gratitude that I loved you enough to cut away what you were not yet strong enough to release on your own. My beloved child, do not chase what I am pruning away. Do not pick up the branches I have cut off. Do not doubt the hand that is protecting you simply because it causes pain for a moment. Stand still, breathe deeply, and allow me to complete this work of purification. For after the cleansing, you will step into blessing with a lighter heart, clearer vision, and a straighter path. My beloved child, what I am preparing to give you is neither small nor temporary. It is an inheritance so complete that it will touch every corner of your life, from where you live to how you think, from the name you carry to the story you tell about yourself. Your home will not merely be shelter from rain and sun, it will become a place of stability, where peace dwells, where long nights are replaced by deep rest and mornings open with hope. Some things I renew not with noise, but with perseverance, each brick set again, each corner healed, each memory gently wiped clean, so you no longer live under the shadow of former seasons. your mind will also be transformed, not merely into more positive thinking, but into a new order being established. The cycles of anxiety will lose their power. The voices that once made you question your worth will grow faint and then fall silent. In their place will come clarity, the ability to see the path ahead without panic, the quiet confidence of one who knows they are in the right place. You will realize that peace does not come from having every question answered, but from knowing the one who leads the way. When your mind is renewed, you are no longer pulled by shifting emotions. You stand firm, not rigid, but secure. Your name will be spoken with respect, not because you promote yourself, and not because you seek the spotlight. True respect is born of consistency, from how you live when no one is watching, from faithfulness when there is no immediate reward. Some who once doubted you will come to acknowledge that you did not turn away from what was right, even when the road was hard. Doors that were once tightly shut will open without you needing to knock forcefully. This respect will not make you proud, it will make you more humble, because you know its source. The story of your life will be rewritten by grace. The old chapters are not erased, they are placed in their proper context. What once looked like failure becomes foundation. What once felt like loss becomes testimony. What once was silence becomes preparation. Grace does not deny what you have lived through, it gives it new meaning. When you look back, you will see a red thread running through it all. I was there, guiding, protecting, and preserving you, even when you did not realize it. If these words are burning within you, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a deep confirmation, then take a prophetic action, not for display, not out of habit. Press like right now as a response. I receive what belongs to me. I step into my place. I refuse to let anyone divert my path. That gesture is not magic, it is alignment. When the outward action agrees with what I have spoken inwardly, the spiritual realm takes notice. Agreement is established, alignment is restored, and what is ready begins to move. They are ready. The ones I have prepared for you, aligned in timing, aligned in heart, are standing there, not loud, not competing, but steady. They trust. They do not need you to diminish yourself to feel secure. They rejoice when you rise. They do not distort what I am doing, they protect it. When they arrive, you will recognize them by peace, not by pressure. You also need to know this: the enemy has tried many ways. It used people words that made you doubt yourself. It used sickness signs meant to make you fear the future. It attacked your mind and emotions through exhaustion, through disappointment, through long seasons of waiting. It tried to wear you down through delay, hoping you would grow weary and walk away on your own. But you are still here. You are still seeking. You are still waiting, not because you have never been tired, but because you did not give up. That very perseverance is the key that opens the door at the right time. The inheritance arriving at this moment is not accidental. It comes because you endured without becoming bitter, waited without letting go, and kept moving forward even when you could not see immediate results. You learned how to remain in what is right. Remain in hope. Remain in trust. And those who do not give up will live. Those who keep going will reach the destination. Those who trust will receive. This is not a slogan. This is the law of grace. Remember this when something good draws near. The noise often increases. Do not let the noise lead you. Let peace be your compass. When you must choose between fast and right, choose what is right. When you must choose between proving yourself and being faithful, choose faithfulness. What I give does not require you to chase it. It will find you when you are standing in the right place. And your place is not where there are no challenges. It is where you know where you belong. In the days ahead, you may notice small but clear changes. A conversation opens. An opportunity appears at the right moment. A burden feels lighter. A decision becomes clearer. Do not dismiss these signs. They are the heartbeat of something greater taking shape. Keep your heart soft. Keep your ears attentive. Keep your steps faithful. Do not tell everything to everyone. Share only with those I have placed beside you. Discretion protects a blessing while it is still young. If there are moments when you ask yourself, "Am I worthy?" remember this: you receive not by merit, but by grace. Grace does not make you passive. Grace gives you strength to continue. Grace does not remove discipline. Grace puts discipline in its proper place. Grace does not ignore wounds. Grace heals them, so you do not carry them into the future. Let lasting joy take root, not the joy of a fleeting moment, but the joy of one who knows they are walking in the right direction. Let gratitude become your breath, not loud, but constant. Let trust lead you through the parts that are not yet clear, for you are not walking alone. My beloved, pause for a moment and feel this. The axis has been aligned. The door has been unlocked. The inheritance is on its way. Your part is to remain in what you chose from the beginning. Trust. And when you act today as a response, heaven takes note. What has been prepared will come at the right time, in the right way, and in full measure. My beloved, listen to me with your whole heart and with the authority of truth. No one and no power can stop what I have released for your life. When I open, no one can shut. When I allow the flow to begin, no hand is strong enough to build a dam. People may scheme in the shadows, stir up waves of opposition, test you with words or actions, but in the end they will grow weary and fall before what I have ordained. For you do not walk alone. Whoever dares to touch you touches the apple of my eye, touches the place I guard most carefully. I am not indifferent to what concerns you. I protect you with a watchfulness that never sleeps. The blessing I give is not a scattered drop. It is a living stream that flows through the riverbed to refresh the banks. As water finds its course, so blessing will find its way through your household, into every room, every relationship, every dream. Where there has been dryness, I bring health. Where there has been effort, I add success. Where there has been anxiety, I place peace, not so you may boast, but so you may dwell securely, not so you may run faster, but so you may stand firmer. This flow does not flood. It nourishes enough for roots to go deep and for fruit to bloom in its season. Trust the plan I have drawn by my own hand for you. I do not draw with hurried strokes. I draw with complete understanding of who you are, of the past you have walked through, of the scars you still carry, of the potential you have not yet seen. There are turns you do not yet understand, moments of waiting you do not yet know the purpose of, but every line has meaning. Every silence has intent. I do not lead you in circles to toy with you. I lead you along a longer road so you will be strong enough to carry what is great. Build an unshakable faith, not a faith driven by fluctuating emotions, but a faith anchored in the truth that I will never abandon you. This faith does not need to be loud. It is steady like a foundation. When the wind blows, the foundation does not argue with the wind. It stands. When the rain comes, the foundation does not panic. It holds. You do not need to win every argument to prove your faith. You only need to remain in me, and faith will prove itself. Let me help you understand how I care for you, like a loving father who watches every breath of his child. I attend to even the smallest details of your life, the decisions you weigh, the relationships you keep, the restless sleep, the weary days. No challenge is too great that I cannot see a way through. No hardship is strong enough to erase my providence. What you call coincidence, I call arrangement. What you call delay, I call protection. What you call uncertainty, I call taking shape. There will be times when the road ahead feels covered, unclear, uncertain, lacking enough information. In those moments, I do not ask you to run, I invite you to walk, step by step. When the fog is thick, the wise do not rush, the wise look to the light. My wisdom will illuminate the path, not the entire journey, but enough for the next step. And each right step will lead to a safe stretch of road. You do not need to see everything to walk correctly. You only need to trust rightly to begin seeing. Hand your worries over to me. Handing over does not mean telling me and then taking them back. It means laying them down and releasing your grip. When you let me carry them, you are free to breathe deeply, to think clearly, to love fully. Let trust cover you like a cloak, not a garment to escape reality, but one that warms the heart when the cold winds of doubt blow. Wrapped in that cloak, you will not tremble at bad news, panic at upheaval, or lose direction amid the noise. I know the enemy will try many ways, testing your patience, tapping into fear, stirring old memories. But remember this, he can make noise, but he cannot rewrite what I have signed. Each time he confuses you, it is a sign that he has recognized you are standing in the right place. Use peace as your measure. My voice brings peace even when circumstances have not yet changed. Other voices rush you and leave you exhausted. You have learned how to discern, use what you have learned. In the days ahead, blessings will unfold at a steady pace, not always with fireworks, but through real and tangible changes. A conversation opens a door, a timely decision lightens a burden, a relationship is healed, an opportunity arrives that fits just right. Cherish the small things. They are signs that something greater is drawing near. Do not despise ordinary days. Ordinary days are where I lay the foundation for memorable ones. Keep your heart pure. Not everyone needs to know everything I am doing. Discretion is wisdom, not a lack of courage. Some seeds need shade to sprout. Some promises need silence to grow. Pray in quiet and give thanks in secret. I see, and I respond. When you give thanks before you see enough, you are expanding your capacity to receive more. My beloved, trust is the key that opens the door of fulfillment, not the key of personal strength, but of abiding. When you abide, I work. When you trust, I complete. Open your heart and let me lead without pulling, without forcing, but guiding. And when the path still seems dim, remember this, the light has not disappeared. It is simply waiting for you to draw nearer. My beloved, pause for a moment and grasp the true value of the inheritance I have appointed for you. What I am giving is not a gift that can be weighed by earthly standards, nor something that can be converted into numbers and worn down by time. This inheritance carries the weight of my spoken word, bears the mark of my throne, and is sealed by unchanging righteousness. It was established before you could name it, preserved through seasons you did not yet understand, and activated at the appointed time when your heart is steady enough to receive it. You once asked me for provision and I heard you, but I did not give you only what would fill a short-term need. I am placing into your hands a lasting purpose. Provision without purpose may satisfy for a moment but leaves you without direction. Purpose, once given, opens the flow of provision that accompanies it. I do not want you living by patching together each day. I want you walking with clear direction, where every decision aligns with what I am building. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. This is not a slogan, it is the order of heaven. You cried out to me for an answer and I was not silent. Yet, instead of giving you a brief reply, I brought you reconciliation. I healed the fractures within you, realigned what had been set off course, and restored to you the ability to move forward without carrying the burden of resentment. There are questions that, if answered too quickly, would keep you on the surface, but reconciliation draws you deeper, enabling you to pass through what once held you back. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Restoration is not merely giving back, it is leading you onward. You pleaded for deliverance and I acted. But, my child, I did not only pull you out of danger, I issued a decree of increase. I do not want you to live forever in survival mode. I want you to step into a season of expansion. That decree is not loud, but it is effective. It opens doors you did not knock on, connects resources you did not search for, and arranges meetings you did not schedule. I will make you the head and not the tail, not a promise to inflate pride, but to anchor you confidently in the position prepared for you. Heirs of the kingdom do not live on crumbs. They do not gather what falls from the table of fear. They do not settle for leftovers when I have prepared fullness. They live by miracles not because they are more special than others, but because they stand in the right place for miracles to operate. A miracle is not always something visibly extraordinary. Often, it is a timing too precise to dismiss. A peace that surpasses understanding. A path opening when every other way has closed. The righteous shall live by faith, and that faith allows you to walk, even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. They pass through doors no one can shut, because those doors are not guarded by human hands. When I open them, no power can lock them again. You will recognize this when old limitations no longer press upon you. When familiar impossibles suddenly lose their authority, not because you have become stronger, but because I have gone before you. Behold, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. That door does not lead only to opportunity, it leads to responsibility, the responsibility to live in a manner worthy of what has been entrusted to you. They receive provision from unexpected sources. When you stop confining yourself to an old way of thinking that abundance can come only through one channel, one method, one person, I expand your vision. You will see supply arrive from places you did not anticipate, a timely idea, an unexpected introduction, a hand extended when you scarcely dared to hope. I am the one who does exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, and I am not limited by familiar human frameworks. Respect follows them not because they chase it, but because they have learned to walk in integrity when there is no audience. I delight in those who remain faithful in the dark valley where there are no lights, no applause, only daily choices between what is easy and what is right. It is there that honor is formed. It is there that the heart is tested, and it is there that I sign my name into your story. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Faithfulness in the dark produces credibility in the light. My beloved, let this sink deep. Your inheritance is not only what you receive, but who you become when you receive it. I do not merely give you resources, I give you identity. When you understand yourself as an heir, you no longer live with a mindset of lack. You are not rushed, not anxious, not compelled to diminish yourself to be accepted. You walk with the calm assurance of one who knows where their source comes from. Keep your heart pure as increase draws near. Not everyone needs to know everything I am doing. Discretion is wisdom, not fear. Some things must be nurtured in quietness in order to grow rightly. Pray when no one is watching. Give thanks before you see abundance. Remain faithful when you are not acknowledged. These things lay the foundation for sustainability. When you find yourself standing before new choices, ask, does this align with the purpose I have received? True inheritance does not pull you away from who you are. It makes you more whole. It does not demand that you trade your soul for advantage. It protects your soul while expanding your influence. If you must lose your peace to keep an opportunity, that is not a door I have opened. Peace is the sign of heaven's agreement. My beloved, trust that I am doing something great, but I do it with a gentle rhythm. I do not push, I lead. When you stumble, I lift you up. When you wait, I prepare. When you are weary, I grant rest. And when you are ready, I open the way. The inheritance that has been decreed does not return empty. It seeks out the one who preserves faith through trial. Move forward with gratitude and quiet courage. Do not live on the scraps of fear. Live by the miracle of trust. Doors will open. Resources will come. Honor will follow, not because you seek it, but because I delight in you. The one who remained faithful while the path led through the dark valley and is now ready to step into the light with steady feet. My beloved, understand this clearly, so your heart will no longer waver at what is unfolding around you. The enemy is angry, not because you are weak, but because it cannot stop you. If you carried nothing of value, it would have no reason to bother. But precisely because you are moving forward, precisely because what I have placed within you is nearing its moment of revelation, resistance has become so visible that anger is not a sign of your failure. It is proof that you have crossed a boundary it once believed could hold you forever. It did not attack you with anything obvious. It used faces that seemed friendly, words that sounded caring, gestures dressed in kindness, yet hiding crooked intentions. It did not come to push you down all at once. It came to make you doubt yourself. It whispered, in a gentle voice, sowing small but repeated questions. Are you sure you're on the right path? Are you being too confident? Maybe you should slow down. Maybe return to a safer place. These words did not arrive as open assaults. They came disguised as advice, as concern. But their purpose was only one: to fracture the confidence I am building within you. It also dug into your past old mistakes, seasons when you stumbled, moments you were not proud of yourself. It took what I have forgiven, what I have buried deep in grace, and set it before your eyes as if it were the present. It wanted you to believe you are still the old person, that you have not truly changed, that all progress is an illusion. But my beloved, I have covered you not to hide the truth, but to protect you from condemnation. I do not revisit what I have erased. I do not rebuild what I have torn down. I do not measure you by the past when I have called you into the future. I have prepared you more carefully than you realize. In the days you thought you were merely enduring, I was refining you. In the seasons you believed were delays, I was strengthening the foundation. I do not send you into battle before you can stand firm. I hid you under the shadow of my wings, not so you would run away, but so you could be formed in safety. Some blows, if they came too early, would have broken you, so I covered you, so that when you step forward, you are no longer easily brought down by what once made you tremble. There were moments when you doubted yourself. You wondered whether you were strong enough, worthy enough, resilient enough to walk this entire road. Yet even in those moments, I held your faith steady, not by removing every doubt, but by refusing to let doubt become your guide. You kept walking, even while your heart wavered. You kept praying, even when answers did not come immediately. You stayed, even when your emotions urged you to retreat. Your faith is not proven by never doubting. It is proven by not allowing doubt to decide in your place. When you were weak, you did not collapse, not because you were tougher than others, but because I supported you in ways you could not see. There were days you stood not because you still had strength, but because I placed my hand beneath you before you hit the ground. There were nights you slept, not because every problem was resolved, but because I laid quietness upon your mind long enough for you to rest. My support is not always loud. Often it is so subtle that you only recognize it when you look back. There were times you wanted to disappear, not because you no longer believed, but because you were too tired to keep explaining, to keep fighting, to keep standing under eyes that did not understand you. You wanted complete silence, to withdraw from all expectations. to have no one asking anything of you. I know, I do not fault you for those desires. But my beloved, even when you wanted to disappear, you kept moving forward. You did not turn your back on me. You did not abandon the covenant. You only slowed your pace and I slowed my steps with you. There were days when you believed everything had been lost: faith, opportunity, relationships, even your inner strength. You looked around and saw no sign that anything good was coming. Yet, even in those darkest days, you still lifted your hands and worshipped me, not with grand words, not with overflowing emotion, but with one very small choice. You did not grow bitter. You did not turn away. You did not curse. You worshipped me by staying, and you did not know that in those quiet moments, heaven was already moving, not because you did something great in the eyes of people, but because you were faithful in what was hidden, when you worshipped in silence, when you chose to believe without seeing, when you guarded your heart from being poisoned by disappointment. The gears in the spiritual realm began to turn. An angel was given an assignment not to display power, but to protect your mind from collapse, to protect your path from wrong turns, to protect the promise from being stolen by impatience. For you are not merely someone who is waiting, you are an heir in training. An heir is not formed in comfort. An heir is forged in seasons without an audience, where character matters more than outcomes, where faithfulness outweighs speed. I am shaping you so that when you receive, you will not lose yourself. I am preparing you so that when the door opens, you will not be blinded by the light, swept away by attention, or diverted by praise. My beloved, understand this: the enemy can make noise, but he cannot rewrite your story. He may try through people, through emotions, through exhaustion, through old memories, but he cannot override what I have ordained. Each time he tries and you do not quit, your position is strengthened. Each time he whispers and you still choose to listen to me, your authority increases. Each time he pulls you toward the past and you keep moving forward, the distance between you and what I have promised grows shorter. Let your heart be at rest. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You do not need to rush to defend yourself. You do not need to explain every step you take. I know where you are. I know where you are going. And I know exactly when to say, enough. To the resistance around you, when the time comes, I will silence every voice that does not belong to me, not through argument, but through undeniable fulfillment. Keep walking as you have, imperfect, yet faithful, unloud, yet persistent, unshowy, yet steady. For you are covered. You are protected. You are being trained for something far greater than you ever dared to imagine. And remember this, so your heart does not tremble when the pressure increases. If you were not carrying something precious, heaven would not have moved for you. But heaven has moved. An angel has received the command. And the heir, yes, you are being forged to step into what has been appointed. My beloved, the inheritance I have prepared for you was never a sudden event, falling like unexpected rain. It was written before you took your first breath, before you were given a name, before you could even imagine who you would become. That inheritance rests within a design I laid out in advance, a map that does not merely show the way, but shapes the person you are becoming. Every line was drawn with intention. Every empty space has a purpose. I did not sketch in haste. I formed it with complete understanding of you, of what you are able to carry, what you must learn, and what you must release in order to walk freely. There are stretches of the journey that make you feel as though everything has been delayed. You wonder why what you believe belongs to you keeps slipping farther away. Why doors open only to close again. Why promises seem to hover just within reach, yet remain untouchable. But listen to me, that inheritance has never been cancelled. It has not been erased, not replaced, not transferred to someone else. The delays you have experienced are not periods, they are necessary commas. There are obstacles that had to be removed. There are hasty decisions that needed correction. There are attachments familiar, seemingly safe, that had to be severed, so you would not step into the future wearing the garments of the past. I did not allow the inheritance to arrive sooner because you needed to grow, not so that you would become more worthy by human standards, but so that you would be strong enough to carry what I give. There were seasons when, had I placed the inheritance in your hands, you would have been distracted by attention, swept up by empty praise, guided by short-lived approval. Your heart was still tender toward applause, too easily swayed by admiration, too hesitant to say no to connections that appeared bright, yet concealed shadows. I love you too much to place you in that position before you were strong enough to stand upright. You have learned in ways that were not comfortable. Pain has matured you. Not all pain is good, but the pain you endured has been used by me to refine you. It taught you to discern between what is counterfeit and what is true, between conditional concern and love that demands nothing, between opportunities opened by right motives and doors that beckon for personal gain. You once confused light with glitter. Now you know that true light does not blind. It guides. You once believed noise was a sign of success. Now you understand that peace is the measure of heaven's agreement. There were attachments that held you longer than you realized, not because they were bad, but because they no longer fit. Some relationships helped you stand in one season, but would have thrown you off rhythm in another. I allowed you to taste disappointment not to harden your heart, but to sharpen your awareness. I allowed misunderstanding not to make you bitter, but to teach you how to stand firmly in truth. Each time you released at the right moment, you grew lighter. Each time you remained in the right place, you grew stronger. Now the time has come, not because everything around you is perfect, but because something within you has changed. You no longer chase applause. You listen to your heartbeat. You no longer need validation. You know where you belong. You no longer fear missing out. You trust timing. You have learned to wait without panic, to move forward without haste, to say no without guilt. These are the signs of the maturity the inheritance requires in order to be entrusted. I know you once asked yourself, if this inheritance is mine, why have so many people benefited from what belongs to me? Understand this. I did not waste the seasons you felt were exploited. I allowed you to give while you were still tender, so you could learn to set boundaries when you became strong. I allowed you to be taken advantage of so you would learn to value yourself. I allowed you to stand behind so you would learn how to stand firmly in front. Nothing was wasted. Everything was used to form a person who can carry the inheritance without losing their soul. This inheritance is not only about what you receive, it is about who you become when you receive it. It requires wisdom to accept, discipline to preserve, and humility to grow. It does not come to make you loud, it comes to make you steady. It does not come for you to prove yourself, it comes for you to serve in the right place. It does not come for you to stand out through noise, it comes for you to shine through faithfulness. Look back and recognize this pain taught you to listen more deeply. Loss taught you to value more rightly. Failure taught you to distinguish between what is good and what is right. You learned to read the atmosphere, to hear what is unspoken, and to choose what brings lasting peace. These are precisely the capacities the inheritance requires. Without these lessons, the inheritance would become a burden. With them, it becomes a blessing. I also want you to know this. The inheritance does not arrive to fix everything overnight. It comes to initiate a new season, a season of ordered expansion. Doors will open in rhythm. Relationships will be positioned rightly. Resources will arrive in proportion. You will not need to compete. You will be entrusted. You will not need to rush. You will be guided. When you must choose between fast and right, choose right. The inheritance flourishes best on a foundation of what is right. Do not fear when the light increases. The light does not come to expose you, it comes to show the way. Do not be surprised when old connections fall away on their own. This is how I make room for new ones, deeper, cleaner, stronger. Do not grieve when certain praises grow silent. That is the sign you no longer need them to move forward. The inheritance does not need noise to grow, it needs good soil. Keep your heart soft without becoming fragile, strong without becoming rigid. Share with wisdom, not everyone needs to know everything. Discretion is the armor of what is still being formed. Pray in quietness and give thanks even when you do not yet see enough. That is the language of those who understand heaven's rhythm. When you feel confused, return to the familiar sign, peace. Peace does not erase every question, but it confirms the direction. My beloved child, the inheritance was written long ago, preserved through many seasons, and is now being activated at the appointed time. Not because you no longer feel pain, but because you have matured through pain. Not because you are no longer afraid, but because you have learned how not to let fear lead. Not because you are perfect, but because you are faithful. Move forward with quiet confidence. What belongs to you is coming, not early, not late, at the right time, in the right way, and in fullness for the person you have become. My beloved child, the very stillness you once feared has become your most patient teacher. In the days when no one called your name, no one checked on you, no one stood on your side, you learned to listen more deeply, not to the noise outside, but to the subtle movement within your soul. That stillness did not make you smaller, it expanded you. It stripped away the need to be recognized, the need to explain, the need to prove yourself. And when those needs fell away, you began to stand on a truer foundation, the foundation of one who knows where they belong. Even when no one is applauding, rejection, too, has made you stronger in ways you never expected. Being pushed aside, overlooked, excluded from circles that once seemed important, none of it destroyed you. On the contrary, it refined you. It taught you that worth does not come from being invited or excluded, but from an identity that cannot be taken away. You once hurt when you were passed over, but that very pain cut away your habit of clinging to people. And when you stopped clinging, you became free, free to walk without asking permission, free to believe without needing agreement. Now you are ready to carry what I am placing into your hands, not because you never stumbled, but because you rose again without losing your heart. I saw everything. I saw the betrayals that happened behind your back, the sweet handshakes by day and the whispers by night. I saw when they turned away without a word of explanation, leaving you to wonder whether you had done something wrong. I saw the frightening silence at the moment you most needed someone to stand up for you, when you most needed a voice of fairness. I saw you standing alone, not out of pride, but because no one else had the courage to stand beside you. I also saw the gatherings in the shadows, the closed conversations, the messages deleted after being sent, the plans discussed with one purpose alone, to make you doubt yourself. I saw the hidden hunger in them, the hunger to see you collapse, to prove that your faith was only an illusion. I heard the labels they mocked you with: a dreamer, a fool, someone living in the clouds, always talking about God and hope. They laughed when you were silent. They felt confident when you did not fight back. But there was one thing they did not see, and it is what decided everything. I saw you kneel in tears when you no longer had the strength to defend yourself. No arguments left to make, no energy to keep appearing strong. I heard your whisper, not to demand, not to accuse, but to surrender, Lord. If you still have a plan for me, Please do not let me be put to shame. That prayer was not loud, not polished, but it was true, and it was that truth that moved heaven. Your plea rose like pure incense, untainted by motive, unmixed with bitterness, untouched by self-pity. I held it with great care, like one guarding something rare, and in that very moment, not when you succeeded, not when you were vindicated, but when you chose to trust in the darkness, I decided that the inheritance prepared for you would move from waiting into fulfillment, not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful in the hidden place. Those who opposed you did not realize they were standing at the threshold of your turning point. They thought they were witnessing your decline, but in truth, they were standing at the edge of a season change. They mistook your silence for weakness, but it was maturity. They mistook your patience for naivete, but it was strength refined. The more they tried to chase you down to diminish you, the more I lifted you up not for revenge, but to place you rightly. The more they tried to erase you from the picture, the more I caused you to shine, not with noise, but with an undeniable presence. My glory upon your life will testify that I never break a promise, not so that you may boast, but so that truth may be revealed. What I have spoken, I will bring to completion without half measures, without alteration. What I have begun, I will finish, even if the path winds and turns. What I have declared, I will guard no matter how many other voices try to dim it. I am not one who speaks and forgets. I am the one who watches over my word to the very end. Storms may rise, and they will rise. Giants may stand in your way, problems that seem larger than your experience, larger than your resources, larger than your endurance. The battle may take a form that makes you tremble, a difficult decision, an unwanted confrontation, a step that demands more courage than you imagined you possessed. But hear me clearly, you will prevail, not because you are stronger than others, but because you do not walk alone, not because you have a flawless strategy, but because my power goes before you. You have been prepared by the very things that once caused you pain. Silence taught you how to stand firm. Rejection taught you not to depend. Betrayal taught you discernment. And tears taught you how to pray honestly. These lessons cannot be learned under stage lights. They are learned only in the night. And because you learned them in the dark, you will not be blinded when the light arrives. Move forward with quiet confidence. Do not rush to explain your transformation to those who are not ready to understand. Do not dim your light to make others feel comfortable. I did not call you to please everyone. I called you to be faithful. And that faithfulness will make a way not always easy, but always right. My beloved, remember this, as the pressure increases, everything that is happening is not meant to destroy you, but to position you. What you once thought was an ending was only a change of course. What you once called loss was, in truth, release. What you once feared has become the doorway into new authority. I am with you without leaving, without forsaking, and when you cross this threshold, you will understand why I allowed you to walk slowly, to walk alone, and to walk deeply. For those who can carry glory are not formed in ease, but in enduring faithfulness. And you, yes, you have proven that you can carry what I am about to entrust to you. Go forward, not in pride, but in trust, not in fear, but in peace. The battle may be great, but my power is greater, and your victory will not merely be a destination, it will be a living testimony that I am still at work, still keeping my word, and still completing what I began in you. My beloved, the inheritance I have prepared for you is not standing still in some distant place. It is moving toward your home step by steady step, without losing its way, without delay. When I say home, I am not speaking only of an address or a visible shelter. I am speaking of the center of your life, where you love, where you worry, where you pray in the night, and where you once stopped hoping because you believed everything was already fixed and closed. This inheritance will reach your children, not merely through outward provision, but through an inner legacy safety, a clear sense of identity, and a foundation of faith that enables them to stand firm in a world full of instability. What I am doing today does not end with this generation. It spreads like ripples on the water, expanding into years you have not yet seen. I will restore what seemed impossible to mend. There are bonds you tried to repair in every way you knew, through apologies, through sacrifice, through unseen effort, yet they remained fractured. There are doors you knocked on until your hands grew weary, then walked away, telling yourself, perhaps God does not want to touch this place. But my beloved, I am not limited by your experiences of failure. I step into the places you withdrew from, not to accuse you, but to do what you could not do in your own strength. I will make all things new is not a comforting phrase, it is how I act. This inheritance will heal old wounds, the words that once cut into your heart when you were still tender, the labels you carried for years and came to believe were your nature. There are memories that shaped how you see yourself. You thought you were not enough, always second, hard to choose. I know those memories are not loud, they whisper, yet they govern. I do not merely soothe the surface, I go to the root. I rewrite the story. I separate you from the false conclusions that pain taught you. When identity is healed, you no longer live to react, you live to choose. I will step into the rooms you no longer pray about, not because you lack faith, but because you are tired. You prayed for a long time, and then you accepted that this is just how things are. You locked certain doors within your heart so you could keep going from day to day. But I have not forgotten those rooms. I knock softly, and then I open them, not with loud noise, but with the persistence of love. I bring light into the corners you assumed were fixed habits, relationships, repetitive days, and you will be surprised to see change begin in the very places where you no longer expected anything. For the inheritance I give is complete. It is not a temporary bandage placed over a deep wound. It is not a few scattered crumbs, just enough to keep you going before you collapse again. It is not a momentary lift only for you to fall once more. What I do has a foundation. It is lasting. It is like a steady stream, never loud, yet continuous, nourishing the land, season by season. It is a firm promise, unchanged by emotion, unmoved by human opinion. And when I fulfill my word, everything will change in the proper order: inward first, outward later, identity first, circumstances after. Therefore, listen to me once more, not with excitement, but with wisdom. Do not share this indiscriminately with just anyone. Not everyone who hears will understand, and not everyone who understands desires good for you. There are people very close to you who hunger only for advantage. They do not wait for your victory to rejoice with you. They wait for your victory to benefit from what it produces. They do not care about your household. They hope to gain from its collapse, whether through subtle manipulation or a presence that pretends to support. I am exposing hearts, and I do this not to make you bitter, but to set you free. I am lifting masks, not to shame anyone, but to let truth breathe. I am helping you see who truly walks with you on the narrow road, and who only stands near when the light begins to increase. You will recognize this not by words, but by a familiar sign: peace. A true companion does not make you anxious, does not pressure you to boast, does not demand proof. They remain when there is no obvious benefit. They rejoice when you are lifted up without comparison. There are connections that exist because of your journey. They live off your story, your giving, your energy. When you are restored, they fear losing their source. When you set boundaries, they call you changed. When you choose discretion, they call you distant. Do not let those labels define you. I am teaching you that love does not mean losing yourself. Faithfulness does not require you to expose everything. And the wisdom to know when to be silent is part of maturity. My beloved, allow me to go deeper. I do not repair scattered pieces, I restructure. When I am at work, you will notice simultaneous changes. You sleep more peacefully. Your thoughts grow clearer. Your decisions become steadier. Conversations will be different, shorter, clearer, with less justification. You will say no more easily, not because you are hardened, but because you know what protects your family and your future. You will choose a slower pace in some places so you can move swiftly at the right time in others. Do not be surprised when some people leave during this season. I am not pushing them away. Truth does its own work. When light increases, those unwilling to change grow uncomfortable. When you are no longer an unconditional source, connections built on benefit reveal themselves. Do not cling to what I am separating. This separation is armor for your family, a fence for your peace, and the necessary space for what is new to enter. I also want you to know this discretion does not make blessings smaller, it makes blessings stronger. Pray in quietness and give thanks in secret. Share only with those I appoint, those who can hold what is precious without distorting it, those who can rejoice for you without needing gain. When you keep this, you will see blessing flow freely, not leaking away through noise and misplaced expectations. The inheritance is coming home to your household not to make you busier, but to give you rest and stability. It will restore order, heal memories, and lay a foundation for the generations to come. It will touch the locked rooms and open them with grace. And when everything begins to change, remember this: I am doing this not only for you, but through you. Walk with quiet confidence, with open eyes and a wise heart. I am here guiding, protecting, and completing so that your family will not merely survive, but flourish in enduring peace. My beloved child, learn to honor me not only with words on your lips, but with every choice you make each day, with the posture you keep when no one is watching, with the way you walk through ordinary life. True worship does not end when the song fades. It continues in how you face trials, in how you refuse easy shortcuts that quietly erode the soul, when you choose what is right instead of what is convenient, when you guard integrity rather than nurture bitterness. You are honoring me with your entire life. Do not treat your spiritual life lightly, for it is not an optional accessory you can turn on and off. It is your lifeline. When you neglect your inner life, peace will begin to leak away, even if everything looks fine on the surface. Do not trade deep peace, the kind that comes only when you are rightly aligned, for a temporary sense of fullness. Some things look like gain but quietly impoverish you. Some invitations sound like opportunity but carry an unseen cost. I do not call you to live in lack, but neither do I call you to live by compromise. Do not accept emotional crumbs, half-hearted concern, relationships that exist only when they are convenient, promises spoken to sound pleasing but never kept. You were not created to live on leftovers. You were created to live in wholeness. When you accept crumbs, you shrink your own capacity. When you accept less than what I have set apart for you, you slowly forget your true worth. I want you to remember this: you are worthy of what is healthy, of what is respectful, of connections that nourish rather than drain. Do not cling to cords that cause your soul to wither. Not every bond is visible to the eye. Some are expectations, self-imposed obligations, or guilt that does not come from me. When you hold on to them too long, they suffocate the life within you. I do not condemn you for having clung before. I simply invite you to release. Letting go is not betrayal, it is protection of what I am doing within you. Some things were necessary in one season but become burdens in another. You are set apart, not to withdraw from the world in pride, but to live differently by identity. You are chosen not because you are superior, but because I have purpose for you. You carry what others do, not a sensitivity to truth, a weight of responsibility, a deep hunger for meaning. That is why you have felt the weight so keenly. That is why the pain once cut so deep. Those who carry light often perceive darkness more sharply. Those who carry hope often ache when they encounter what stands against it. But listen to me, it is precisely because of that depth that the inheritance coming to you will be radiant. Light is proportional to the depth of night. What you have endured has not been meaningless. It has been preparation. The heaviness of sorrow will be exchanged for the lightness of fulfilled promise, not by denying the past, but by giving the past new meaning. You will carry memory without being carried away by it. You will remember without the same pain. When this happens, and it will happen, some will try to return. Some once left because they could not bear the weight you carried. Some mistook your quietness for weakness. Some benefited from your giving but would not walk with you through the dark. This time, you will discern, not through bitter suspicion, but through peaceful clarity. You will recognize who comes for who you are, and who comes for what you carry. This discernment is grace. It helps you open the right doors and close others at the right time. It protects your household, your future, and the peace I have placed in your hands. You will no longer need to over-explain or defend yourself. Peace will be your answer. If someone's presence makes you shrink, rush, or lose your breath, that is not the companionship I give. If someone's presence helps you become more honest, more at ease, and more grounded, that is a good sign. Continue to honor me through small daily choices. Choose truth over appearance. Choose silence over argument. Choose healing over winning. These choices weave your garment, not a garment of display, but one of quiet authority. When you wear it, you do not need many words. Your presence itself establishes order. I do not call you to live austerely. I call you to live free, free from invisible restraints, free from the need to please everyone, free from the fear of abandonment. When you live in this freedom, you will realize that true abundance does not come from holding more, but from holding what is right, the right people, the right work, the right time. My beloved child, trust that I am completing what I began. Do not rush ahead of me, and do not lag behind. Walk with me slowly, yet steadily. When the inheritance arrives, you will not be overwhelmed, for you have been prepared. When the light increases, you will not be blinded, for your eyes have grown accustomed to depth. When doors open, you will walk through without losing yourself. My beloved child, listen with your whole soul, for what I am doing is no longer a distant future. I am sending my angels forth, not empty-handed, but carrying scrolls sealed with your very name. These are not hastily written lines. They are pages prepared long ago, recording promises, callings, and spiritual inheritances appointed for your life. Some pages you thought had been covered by time, buried under disappointment and delay, but they were never erased. Today, I am opening those pages again, one by one, by the authority of the one who never forgets the word he has spoken. I am reactivating the promises you no longer dare to mention, not because you lack faith, but because you have grown weary after waiting for so long. There were promises that once set your heart ablaze, only to slowly turn into a quiet ache as time passed with no visible sign of fulfillment. But, my child, I do not measure time the way you do. What I delay is not because I have changed my mind, but because I am preparing the entire setting, the circumstances, the people, and you yourself, so that when the promise comes to pass, it will not break you, but lift you higher. Today, those promises are being called by name again, not to test you once more, but to be completed. I am also rebuilding the places the enemy once left in ruins. There are areas of your life that suffered deep devastation, trust worn down, relationships fractured, confidence distorted, dreams torn down just as they were beginning to form. You tried to patch things together. You tried to stand again. Yet everything felt as though it could never be the same. My beloved, I am not merely repairing old walls. I am building anew on a stronger foundation. What I restore will not be as easily destroyed as before, because this time it is constructed from the wisdom you gained through pain. I am releasing blessings that were once hindered, not because those blessings were weak, but because there were blockages that needed to be removed. Mental strongholds, misaligned connections, fears that had not yet been confronted. When those obstructions are dealt with, the flow begins to move freely. You will see things that once almost happened now begin to take shape. Doors that once opened slightly and then closed will now open fully. Not by your striving, but by my precise orchestration. I am restoring what was stolen. Not only time, opportunities, or resources, but the joy, peace, and sense of safety you lost during seasons of battle. There were years when you lived in survival mode, simply trying to stay standing, afraid to dream beyond the day. I do not dismiss those years. I have counted every tear, every sleepless night, every step you took while your heart was heavy. My restoration is not superficial. I restore with increase. I multiply what was taken, not to bring you back to where you were, but to lead you into a wider place. I am healing what was once wounded. There are injuries not visible on the surface, unseen by others, yet they have deeply shaped how you love, how you trust, how you see yourself. I did not rush to touch them before you were ready, but now you have matured enough to be healed without fear. This healing does not erase memory. It strips memory of its power. You will remember without the same pain. You will tell your story without trembling. This is a time of restoration, not partial or fragmented, but complete. This is a time of inheritance, not merely what you receive, but the position you now occupy. This is a time of honor, not honor bestowed by people, but confirmation that comes from heaven. When I honor you, no one can diminish you with words or schemes. When I lift you up, no force can pull you down. If you believe this, continue to honor me through acts of faith. Faith is not merely a declaration. It is the choice you make when the evidence is not yet complete. It is choosing integrity when compromise is easier, patience when haste is tempting, trust when circumstances have not yet changed. Each such act is a mark that you are aligning yourself with what I am doing. Share this word with those who need it, those being attacked in the middle of their process, those wondering whether heaven has gone silent. Not to persuade, but to support, not to argue, but to ignite hope. This word does not end with you. It is designed to flow through you. When you live in alignment with what I have spoken, your life becomes a living testimony, few words, yet powerful enough to awaken faith in others. I will use your story to rescue many, not because you are perfect, but because you are faithful. The cracks you once felt ashamed of will become the places where light shines through. The roads you wish to forget will become maps that help others find their way out. You are not here by accident. You do not exist merely to get through the days. You have been called not vaguely, but by name. You have been sealed, not by fleeting emotion, but by enduring authority. You have been chosen not because you are superior, but because I trust you to carry what I place in your hands. Your inheritance has already been set in motion, not in imagination, but in a reality that is actively unfolding. Only a few details remain, the final adjustments in your heart, where I am refining your motives and strengthening your obedience. Only a few connections are being aligned, the right people, the right moments, the right decisions are being arranged. Everything is being sent forth in my perfect order. And hear me clearly. So fear will no longer take hold when the pressure increases. Nothing, absolutely nothing can stop what I have released for your life. No scheme, no delay, no opposing voice, no old memory, no momentary weakness. What I have begun, I will finish. What I have promised, I will fulfill. And when you step into this new season, you will understand why you had to move slowly, go deep, and walk alone through so many stretches of the journey. Remain in trust, walk in humility and courage, and remember heaven is moving on your behalf, not to indulge you, but to complete the purpose that was written before you ever took your first breath. My beloved child, do not let the silence deceive you. Do not rush to conclude that nothing is happening simply because your ears hear no sound and your eyes see no obvious signs. In my order, the greatest movements are rarely loud. I do not need thunder to set powerful things in motion. I often choose stillness to lay foundations. Just as a seed grows in the darkness of the soil, the strongest chapters of your life are being written by me in moments that seem quiet and uneventful. When you think everything has come to a halt, there are times when you look around and see only slowness repeating days, uneventful evenings, no new news. Yet it is precisely within that emptiness that I am working without rest. I am not confined by human pace. When you rest, I act. When you no longer have the strength to strive, I begin to arrange. I write the most important passages of your life story with invisible ink, on pages that you will only be able to read at the appointed time. When you sleep, I do not sleep. While your body is at rest, I send angels ahead of you to prepare the way. They touch situations you have not yet encountered. They adjust meetings you do not yet know about. They guard decisions you have not yet made. Some things, if revealed too early, would only make you anxious. Therefore, I keep them in silence. I let you sleep, because your rest is also an act of faith. You rest because you trust that I am keeping watch. When you weep in prayer, when tears fall unseen by anyone else, I do not see that as weakness. I see it as the most honest truth of your heart. Those choked prayers do not vanish into emptiness. They reach me. And from there, they reach hearts you cannot see. I move those who hold the keys to your next season. I stir compassion, awaken readiness, and place you into their thoughts in ways they cannot explain. At times you pray for a way out, but I open a connection instead. At times you ask for a door, but I prepare a person, for I know that what you need is not merely opportunity, but the right kind of support. And all of this is often set in motion quietly, where there is no stage, no spotlight, no immediate recognition. When you wrestle with anxious thoughts, when your mind spins with worst-case scenarios, when you wonder whether you are missing something, I am not standing aside. I raise up intercessors for you, some you know, some you have never met. There are prayers being lifted on your behalf that you are unaware of. There are nights when you feel heavy for no clear reason, because I am shielding you from things you were never meant to face alone. I cover you with those prayers like an invisible shield. When you are weak, I do not demand that you be strong immediately. I hold you. When you are confused, I do not accuse you. I protect you. When you are weary, I do not push you. I slow the rhythm so that you will not break. This is how I care for those I love, not through pressure, but through steadfast presence. My beloved child, what is being brought forth in your life is not small. Do not measure it by your current feelings or by what you cannot yet see. What I am forming carries glory, not a showy glory, but the glory of true transformation. It carries purpose not to make you stand out, but to place you rightly so you may live fully in your identity. And it carries lasting impact, not only touching today, but reaching into days you have not yet entered. Some things, if revealed too early, would make you impatient. Some things, if shown to you in full right now, would frighten you by their scale. So I give them to you in portions enough to believe, enough to step forward, enough to remain. I do not want you to live overwhelmed. I want you to live by trust, and trust grows best in silence. This inheritance will not bless you only in a personal way. It will turn you into an answer for others. What you have walked through will become a path for someone who is lost. What you learned in the dark will become light for someone who is trembling. The wounds you have had healed will become places of healing for many. I do not waste any of your pain. I transform it into authority. There will come a day when you look back and realize that these quiet months shaped you more than any noisy season ever could. In silence, you learned how to listen. In silence, you learned discernment. In silence, you learned not to chase, not to compare, not to panic. And when you step out of that silence, you will not emerge as someone lacking, but as someone prepared. Do not be afraid when things are not yet moving the way you expect. I am not late. I am precise. I have not forgotten. I am arranging. I am not silent because I am absent. I am silent because I am working at a deeper level. Some structures, if rushed, will collapse. I build slowly so they will stand firm. Some blessings, if they arrive too early, will pull you off course. I hold them back so they come at the right time. Continue to live faithfully in the small things. Continue to pray even when you do not hear an immediate answer. Continue to rest when you can, instead of blaming yourself for not yet seeing results. Each time you choose trust instead of doubt, you are walking in step with what I am doing. Each time you choose peace instead of panic, you are keeping rhythm with heaven. My beloved child, I am writing your story not in short, fragmented pieces, but as a continuous, deep, and coherent narrative. And the silent passages are not meaningless gaps. They are where I lay the foundation for great turning points. Do not rush to fill the quiet with noise. Let it teach you. Let it nourish you. Let it prepare you. The time will come when silence gives way to revelation. What is sown in secrecy will emerge openly. What is formed in the dark will stand firm in the light. And when you see what I have done, you will understand why I chose to work in this way. Remain in trust. Breathe in peace. Walk step by step with me. For what I am bringing to life in your story does not only change circumstances, it changes you. And through you, it will change the lives of many others. Now pray like this. Erfi, beloved Father, I thank you that even what seems like a very small act is never small in your eyes. I believe this moment is not random. It has been arranged to pull me out of delay and set me into the right rhythm of heaven. Teach me to honor you through concrete choices, to respond to the inner calling with outward obedience. If I am hesitating, grant me gentle courage, courage that is not loud but steadfast, so that I may openly acknowledge that you are the one who writes the story of my life. Silence every accusation, calm every disturbance, and open every door that needs to be opened in its proper time. I do not want to chase empty signals. I want to be united with you through a sincere heart. Let me see that when I touch what you place before me by faith, the unseen realm takes notice, and grace begins to move. I receive the increase that comes from you, not to boast, but to live rightly in the position of an heir, humble, watchful, and enduring. Father, I come before you with alertness, knowing that when something great is about to be born, resistance often increases as well. Forgive me if at times I have allowed my mind to be pulled by strange voices, messages, or sweet-sounding suggestions that, beneath the surface, seek to break my confidence, place a holy hedge around my life, around my family, and around my decisions. Help me discern what is true and what is false, what comes from love and what comes from toxic motives. I refuse to feed anxiety, refuse to react in haste, and refuse to step outside the covenant because of pressure. Remind me that what you have ordained cannot be stolen by anyone. As Psalm 91 speaks of shelter under the shadow of your wings, hide me in your presence so that I may move forward in peace. Keep me from wasting strength on arguments. Instead, let that strength be used for prayer, for standing firm, and for walking the path you have drawn. Beloved Father, I confess that the shifts around me sometimes cause me pain. Those who once walked with me grow distant. Those I once supported become indifferent. I do not want to turn that pain into bitterness, nor allow it to make me suspicious. Heal my heart where it has been wounded, and grant me a spiritually mature perspective that some separations are not failures but protection. Remove from me the need to be understood by everyone. It is enough that I am understood by you. Teach me to release what you are pruning and to keep what you are planting. If jealousy, envy, or misunderstanding rises around me, cover me so that I am not drawn into it. Place within me a peace that is beyond understanding, as Scripture says, so that I may love without being bound and remain kind without losing myself. Grant me the right people, few, but true, who can walk with me without cursing, without undermining, and without comparison. Heavenly Father, I place before you every connection, every conversation, every door I am opening or about to open. Please purify the atmosphere of my life, for I understand that what you are preparing cannot coexist with contaminated motives. Shine your light on what I have not yet seen, intentions hidden behind compliments, exploitation concealed beneath closeness, hands reaching for blessings without truly loving me. Grant me the wisdom to be discreet, to guard what is holy in the secret place, to give thanks without display. Close the doors that cause my soul to wither, and open the doors that nourish life. Make me a faithful steward of grace, not wasteful, not boastful, not fearful. As James reminds us that wisdom from above is pure and peaceable. Grant me that wisdom so I may walk through this season with clear eyes, a tender heart, and steady steps. Heavenly Father, I turn my heart toward you and trust that you are able to restore the places where I have grown weary from illness, financial pressure, and prolonged burdens. I do not ask for momentary relief. I ask for complete restoration, deep renewal within, so that my body, our mind, and spirit may be upheld together. Break every yoke upon my shoulders, the yoke of anxiety, the yoke of fear, the yoke of self-blame, and clothe me instead with the gentle yoke of the one who loves me. As Isaiah declares that you give strength to the weary and increase power to the weak. Renew my strength so I may pass through trials without being consumed. If I make public expressions of faith, writing a number, voicing agreement, guard my heart from superstition, that I may do so as a declaration of unity with heaven, not as a formula. I receive the steady flow of your love, provision, and health. Heavenly Father, I thank you that the inheritance you give is not merely material, It is honor, identity, and inner restoration. Seal within my heart the truth that I have never been forgotten. Even when the enemy whispers that nothing is changing, let me hear your voice more clearly than any other. Remind me that I am hidden, protected, and set apart not for pride, but to live according to the weight I carry. Heal the memories that once shaped a distorted view of myself. Rewrite my story with grace. Grant me a strong spiritual framework so that, when you lift me up, I am not shaken by praise or criticism. Give me the character of an heir, humble without self-deprecation, strong without harshness, gentle without weakness. As your promise says, he who began a good work will complete it. Complete what you have begun in me. Heavenly Father, I bring before you the unease I sense in the air, in the room, in the eyes of those I love. I do not want to judge according to the flesh, yet I do not wish to be naive about spiritual realities. Protect my spirit from unseen heaviness, from opposing prayers, from intentions that seek to pull me away from your promise. Wipe my tears when I must endure loneliness, even among those close to me. Grant me the wisdom to love while keeping boundaries, to forgive without empowering harm. Remove the evil that lingers around my life, and enthrone peace in my home. If I have ever whispered that I have no strength left to fight, lift me up with authority that does not come from anger, but from truth. Help me not to return to places you have pulled me out of, and not to trade my future for momentary comfort. Heavenly Father, I acknowledge that there are moments when old wounds are touched, buried memories resurface, and fear seeks to control me. Be near to me in those moments. Do not allow me to nurture voices that cause me to doubt your care. I refuse to step away from the covenant. I refuse to give up too soon. Grant me the ability to take every thought captive and bring it under submission to your truth, so my mind is not led astray. I thank you that I am an heir by grace, not by merit. Give me the strength to continue choosing what I have chosen, silence instead of retaliation. Trust in your justice instead of self-vindication by the flesh. Remember me in this season of testing, and let me see small signs of fulfillment so my heart may be steadied. As the Psalms declare that you are near to the brokenhearted, draw near to me and heal me. Heavenly Father, I thank you that you are raising up the right people to walk with me, and also removing those who do not belong on this journey. Help me not to chase what you are pruning away. When I grieve separation, hold me and teach me to understand it as protection. Grant me the wisdom not to share everything with everyone, to keep holy things in the secret place, to give thanks without display. Place pure words upon my lips, that I may not sow fear, exaggerate, or expose what needs time to grow. Surround me with people of good heart, those who rejoice without envy, who advise without control, who love without exploitation, and make me, too, a good companion to others, one who supports, intercedes, and remains faithful. Keep me in peace so I may walk in the right rhythm, for I know that blessing requires a clean atmosphere. Heavenly Father, I believe that what you have released, no one can restrain, though there may be schemes, storms, or giants blocking the way. Grant me strength to stand firm and move forward. I place before you my family, my children, my home, and my future. Let blessing flow like life-giving waters, health, peace, righteous prosperity, and a sound mind. Give me unshakable faith, faith that does not need to be loud, but endures so I may face uncertainty by the light of your wisdom. I lay my burdens at your feet. Clothe me with the mantle of trust, and when the inheritance arrives, keep my heart humble, that I may not forget the days you upheld me in silence. Use my story as a living testimony that those under attack in the process may be lifted. Those who think heaven is silent may be comforted, and those on the verge of giving up may find strength. I thank you that I am not here by chance. I am called, sealed, and chosen. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.